For years, I've had the dream of presenting a pattern to you like this one, and it is finally here. This is Plaidage by Candy Key, and this is a beginner-friendly pattern that turns just simple garter stitch into beautiful plaid, and I think it is so incredible. You really only need to know how to work the knit stitch to make the base of this pattern, and you could stop there. And if you did, you would end up with these beautiful varying stripes like you see here on the backside. However, Candy has taken this pattern to the next level by weaving these beautiful horizontal lines into this shawl. I love how they crisscross and interweave throughout the pattern, and it creates a gobsmackingly gorgeous plaid. And here in a minute, I'm going to be showing you exactly how to do this technique. And that is why knitting is so inspiring, because just when you think you've learned it all, boom, another new technique comes along that you haven't tried, and it sparks creativity all over again. I think this technique is so fun, and I can envision it on sweaters and blankets, scarves, you name it. I also love the tassel-y fringe on the shawl. It creates such a beautiful movement and flow to the design. And interestingly enough, the tassels on the end are actually created from the yarn used to make the horizontal stripes. To achieve this effect, we used 5 colors of our soft and shimmery Alpaca Silk DK yarn. You're gonna need 2 Arctic, 2 Tawny Port, 1 Abyss, 1 Clary Sage, and 1 Northern Saw Wet Owl. Or you can use any combination of colors that lights your heart up. I do recommend when making this pattern that you choose high contrast colors to really help this technique pop. Now I'm going to show you how to do this technique. If you would love to follow along, you can get the pattern and the yarn at ExpressionFiberArts.com. And while you're there, be sure to sign up for email and text updates for weekly free knit and crochet pattern. I am going to be giving away a set of the yarn used to make this pattern. So if you would love to enter, just subscribe to our YouTube channel and type the word plaid in the comment. And we would love to know if you have ever tried this technique before. To make this, you're going to need yarn, needles, and a tapestry needle. I've gone ahead and worked a small swatch in garter stitch, which is just knit every stitch, every row. And when you're changing colors, you can just leave your yarn dangling off the ends, because this is going to form part of your fringe along the bottom. You'll just want to tie some knots to secure those. Once you've done all this, you are ready to move on to the next step. To best work this technique, you're going to want to block your shawl. So you're going to take your shawl and get it wet. You go ahead and wring out the excess moisture. And then I recommend placing it in a towel to get out as much of the water as you can. So go ahead and give that a pat. You can also stand on it if you like to get out all that water. And then we're going to go ahead and block it. So you're going to need some pins and either a blocking board, or you can use cardboard or carpet or just anything that pins can go into. So go ahead and lay this out. I really like this blocking board with the grid. It helps you get your edges nice and lined up. So then you're going to start taking your pins, and I like to start in the corners and get those lined up where I would like them to be. And then you're just going to start walking along the edge, pinning your shawl into shape. And this is kind of fun because you can alter the shape a little bit, making it thinner or wider. There's a little bit of give there. So just keep going and get your shawl all blocked into shape. Once you've done this, you're going to want to let it dry. It can usually take a day or two, depends on your weather and the temperature. So let it completely dry before we begin our technique. Go ahead and get all your edges. Even if it seems like you don't need to, they can kind of shrink up as it's drying, so make sure you get everything nice and pinned. And I like to put my pins a little bit inside rather than on the very edge, because sometimes that creates little pokes, like little triangles, so I like to put them inside a little bit for a nice clean edge. Once your shawl is all dry, you're going to go ahead and leave your pins in, so leave it blocked, and then we're going to go ahead and start our plaid technique. You're going to go ahead and grab your yarn that you'll be using for your cross weaving. And for the actual shawl, you're going to measure the length of your shawl, and you're going to add 8 inches on each side, so plus 16 inches. For the small version, I'll just add about 4 or 5 inches on each side, and then we're going to go ahead and cut that. And then we're ready to get started weaving that through. Go ahead and grab your yarn, and you're going to feed that into your darning needle, like so. And then basically we are going to weave this in and out of these bumps that we see here. When you work garter stitch, you're going to have all these little curly-Q bumps going on. So you're going to start at one end, and this is super simple. We are going to insert our darning needle into every other bump. So skip, insert, skip, insert, skip, insert. Go ahead and pull that through, making sure that you leave your little end here. That's going to become our tassel later. And then keep going. Skip, insert, skip, insert, and continue going all the way down, like so. And then leave this end out for the tassel on this side. So our first little row is done. And we're going to do that again. Go ahead and grab your yarn, measure it out to the length that you need, and give it a cut. And you will be changing colors as you go along. That's how you get the cool plaid look. Feed that onto your darning needle, just like we did before. But this time, we are actually going to alternate the little lumps. So instead of matching up like this, we are going to actually do the opposite. So insert, and then we'll skip the one that we worked into before. Insert, skip, insert, skip. So you're doing every other one still, but they're going to be staggered with this first row that you did. So that creates a little bit more of an interesting look. So you just keep working your way up. Just every other one all the way to the end. So you can see how they're staggered, and that creates such an interesting look to the design. I'm going to go ahead and switch colors just for funsies. And I'm going to show you a slightly different technique that you'll find in the pattern, where you cross your stitches over each other, so it creates an even more fun look. So I'm going to start by mimicking row 1. So we want this little bump on top. So I'm going to go under it, and then same thing as we were doing before, under, over, under, over. And then I'm going to stop, and we're going to do a little crisscross movement. Remember to leave a little bit of tail for your tassel on the end. So what you can do, and you could customize this too to suit your preference, you're going to hop over a couple rows and then hop up a couple rows. And we're going to continue doing what we were doing, but we've now jumped over. So continue with the under, over, under, over. This is just basically weaving. And I love that so much. I've loved to weave for years. So go ahead and pull that through. Oops, stuck on my pin. Go ahead and pull that through. And then let me show you the next step. For the second part of this crisscross technique, again, go ahead and cut your yarn. Thread that onto your darning needle. For this time, we're going to come down this row here where we crossed over, and we'll begin here, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to line these up, so your bumps are going to be matching here. So we're doing the under, over, until we reach the crisscross point. Go ahead and pull that through, leaving your tassel length. Then we're going to cross over this way, and again our little bumps are going to match up on this, and under, over, all the way down, and continue down the length of your row, crisscrossing as shown in the pattern. And you can see it makes a really fun little cross in your design. Then you're just going to continue repeating this down your shawl, and you can do it as mentioned in the pattern, or you know what, you are so creative, I bet you can come up with all kinds of designs for this, so just have fun with it. Once you're done, you're going to take all your little loose tails here, and you're actually going to tie them into your tassels. So just grab a clump of them and go ahead and form them into a little group knot. Cinch that up to the edge of your shawl, and you're going to have beautiful little tassels going down the length. I'll go ahead and do this side as well. So you're going to have tassels on both ends of your shawl. You just want to get that knot close up to the edge of your shawl. And once you've got them all tied and everything's looking great, if you would like, you can go ahead and trim all of your little tassels right down the line just to make sure everything is nice and tidy. So I hope you enjoyed this technique. I hope it inspired you just as much as it did me. And of course, be sure to post your projects on social media and tag us at ExpressionFiberArts. Have an amazing day. Remember to find gratitude for the small things, and hop on back next week for an amazing video that we have planned for you where I'm going to be answering a lot of your questions. So I can't wait to see you then. Bye!